This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
How many of you all seen that movie? Most people, I hope. If you haven't seen it, it's The Matrix. And as you can see, my talk is about blue pill or the red pill. It's about choices. The two characters in that movie are Morpheus. Clearly, I'm not Morpheus, so I'm gonna take these off right now. I'm also not Neo, so I'm not the one. If you all are looking for the one, you're in the wrong place. My story starts a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, also known as the Philadelphia suburbs. I like movie references, so bear with me. I grew up in a middle-class family in Philadelphia. I was a very healthy kid. I don't think I missed a day of school until I got chicken pox in 6th grade, and I missed a couple of days, and it was over spring break, so I didn't miss a week, and I had to go on spring break with chicken pox. I didn't miss any school really all through high school. I was just a kid that was really blessed with great health. I didn't have allergies. I went to the doctor once a year to do the physical, that kind of stuff. So I wasn't really prepared for what came next. I went on a couple of long canoe trips when I was in high school and then the early part of college. And I came back from one of those trips, and I was very sick. And went to the doctor, and I had what's called Giardia, which is a parasite. It's a fairly nasty parasite. And they prescribed me an antibiotic called Flagyl. So I took the antibiotic, and the parasite went away, and I was fine. And I never thought anything of it. About a year later, my sophomore year in college, I was having a really tough time. I spent 4 months just miserable, going to the bathroom constantly, in really terrible pain, not being able to keep anything down. I lost a bunch of weight. I came home that Christmas, and my mom took one look at me, and she said, "Oh my gosh, what has happened to you?" And I was gaunt, and she said, "We need to go to a doctor." And well, I'd never really gone to doctors, and so I wasn't one of these, I need to go see a doctor, I need to go take a pill, I need to get better kind of guys. And I went in, and my doctor did a bunch of tests, and they told me that they thought that I had what's called Crohn's disease. How many of you have heard of Crohn's disease? So it's an autoimmune disease, and it involves your digestive tract. So here I was at 19 years old, a college student, and if you remember your days in college, I don't know if they were like mine, but let's just say I wasn't exactly eating the healthiest stuff in college. It was lots of fried foods and cheap beer, among other things, late night chili dogs, and Mountain Dew, things like that. So I was prescribed a bunch of drugs, and I didn't have any concept of any of this. Autoimmune diseases, steroids, immunosuppressants, the pills of Western medicine, the blue pill or the red pill. But I just took them because I figured, this guy's a doctor, he spent all this time in medical school, he knows what he's talking about, and I don't feel good, and I want this to get better. I was a guinea pig for a lot of years. I saw all the best doctors. I took all the drugs. I was a beta patient for some drugs when I lived in New York City, when I lived in San Francisco. This went on for a long time, and I never really found relief. But what I did start to find as the internet was sort of just getting going in this time frame in the early 90s and the mid 90s was that there was a lot of information about not only autoimmune diseases, but the drugs that I was taking. And I got kind of curious about a lot of these drugs. Prednisone is a steroid. Perhaps some of you have heard of it. It's a very powerful steroid. That's one of the drugs they give you when you have a digestive autoimmune disease. I know it's used in a lot of different places. I used to take immunosuppressants. And I started thinking to myself, the whole concept of suppressing your immune system in order for you to not feel these symptoms was just insane to me. It was absolutely insane. I saw more doctors. I saw doctors in New York. I saw doctors in San Francisco. I went to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. I had all kinds of opinions and second opinions. And there's a saying that I'm sure you all have heard, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, that was my life from basically 1990 when I was a sophomore in college, all the way up through the end of the millennium into the early 2000s. And I struggled to keep on weight. I couldn't sleep through the night without having to get up to go to the bathroom 7 or 8 times. I couldn't drive 4 miles to my office in San Francisco without having to sometimes pull over. It's not a pleasant thing. And I won't get into those details. If you're really curious, you can send me an email. We can talk all about what digestive ailments will do, and there are many wonderful side effects and symptoms. But through this time, through this suffering, through this pain, I started to think, this seems crazy to me. I've got these pills, I've got these doctors, they supposedly know everything. I think what's great about doctors is that they go to school and they learn all this stuff about the human body and how to make you better. But I'm not so sure, as good as they are at diagnosing, I'm not so sure when it comes to chronic illness, when it comes to autoimmune diseases, that they're very good at treating. And again, Western medicine is a very symptom-based treatment modality, if you will. And so it's a managing of symptoms, and that's what they were trying to do. And most of the time with an autoimmune disease, it's putting a blindfold on and trying to hit a dartboard. And I didn't like that. Over time, I got sick of that. And I chose different avenues. One of the craziest things that I learned when I started to research this, and again, the internet was just sort of getting going, and it was providing me with a lot more tools and a lot more information, was that, and it may have changed now, but I'm fairly certain that when you go to medical school, and if there's doctors in here, maybe you can correct me, but if you go to medical school, a nutrition class is not a requirement. It's an elective. Like, how crazy is that? No doctor ever, in the 11 years that I went to see all these experts in their field, ever once said, what is your diet? What do you eat every day? When I was 19, it was cheap beer and pizza. When I was in my 20s, it was like more expensive beer and pizza. I mean, it wasn't, there wasn't a lot to my diet back then. But I think that suffering really made me start asking questions and questioning my doctors and asking them, okay, I've taken your prednisone, I've taken your immunosuppressants, I've taken your Remicade, I've taken all these drugs, your 6-MP, I mean, the lists are, 75 syllables and all kinds of crazy Latin names. I've taken all of these, and I'm not getting better. I'm losing weight, I'm getting worse, I'm having tests done all the time, and they're telling me that things are getting worse, they're getting worse, they're getting worse. And I'd finally had enough of it. The end stage for me was the final colonoscopy that I had, and they told me that at age 29, there's a 50% chance you have colon cancer. Now, at the time my wife was pregnant with our first child, we were living in San Francisco. The year was 2001, and I looked at the guy and I said, what does that mean exactly? Well, the protocol is we go in and we remove your colon and we do all these crazy surgeries, and we want to basically gut you and cut this out of you, because they never say, well, we don't really know how to deal with these autoimmune diseases, but we do have a solution, and that's to get the surgeon in here and just, when in doubt, take it out, remove the problem. So I ended up having the surgery. Did you guys think I was going to come up here and tell you that I didn't have to have all that done? Sorry for the disappointment. I ended up having the surgery in May of 2001, which removed the problem. Now, in the last couple of years before I'd had the surgery, when my suffering was particularly bad, I had started to experiment with some, however you want to phrase it, alternative practices, or sort of non-Western, non-traditional ways to try to treat my ailment. I changed my diet. I was a vegan for a long time. I did all kinds of juice cleanses and flushes and stuff that would make your head spin. There's one doctor in particular, this guy Richard Scholl's, Dr. Richard Scholl's. Maybe some of you have heard of him. He's actually got a place over on the west side called the American Botanical Pharmacy. I did this thing called a cold sheet treatment. I hope none of you have ever heard of this, but I'll give it to you real quick. You basically get in the hottest water you can possibly have with a bunch of cayenne pepper, And I'm telling you, you get in there with no clothes on or anything like that, and you have to stay in there as long as you can. And then when you get out and you wrap yourself up in this cold sheet, and you lie in bed, and the concept is it's gonna sweat all this stuff out of you, and the sheet's gonna have all the stains from the different areas in your body where there's the most issues, and yada, yada, yada. I did that, and many other things. Many other things. But here's what's funny. All those different things, they actually helped me feel better. And I learned that just because somebody went to Harvard and Harvard Medical School or wherever they went, that doesn't make them an expert. That gives them a lot of knowledge. Absolutely, 100%. I would not ever say that a doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. The problem is it's very much a one-way thought. And if you think of the diseases of the modern world, they're chronic, a lot of them. The ones that we're all no friends or maybe we're suffering from ourselves. You know, it's high blood pressure, it's high cholesterol, it's diabetes, it's autoimmune diseases, Crohn's, colitis, you name it. And I think it's a shame that because of the way we grew up in this country, we do sort of get brainwashed. That we see a doctor, we go in, we got a headache, our leg doesn't feel good, we go in, they give us a pill, it's gone. But we're not fixing what's wrong, right? So after all of this, after my surgery, after I was fine, after I decided I'm gonna start treating my body with a lot more respect than I ever had before, and that I figured out that, hey, I can actually eat better and treat my body, put things into my body that are gonna enable it to heal itself. I was turned on to a couple different things. I'll ask a question right now. How many of you have been sick in the last year? Put your hand up. How about the last 2 years? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. None of you, some of you never been sick in 5 years? Okay, that's good. Tell me what you're doing, because I'd like to know. I'd like to augment what I do. I haven't been majorly sick other than maybe like a half a day of a teeny bit of a sniffle or a sore throat in 13 years. 13 years. I don't get the colds my kids bring home from school. I don't get the yearly flu. I've never had a flu shot and I never get one. And I'm here to tell you that you do have a choice. And the choice is not the blue pill or the red pill. These are chocolate eggs, by the way. If you catch one, you can eat it. It's not the blue pill or the red pill. It's not the green pill or the purple pill or the yellow pill or the orange pill or the green pill. I think I have a polka dot one in here too. It's not that funky looking pill. It's none of these if you don't want it to be. The truth for me was, it was no pill at all. Not one. And at the end of the day, this isn't about me. I went through my trials and tribulations so that I could be here today to tell you all my story, in the hopes that maybe one of you, it would help. It's about my kids. It's about them growing up with a father who has gone through something that's made him stronger, that has educated him and opened his eyes so that my boys won't ever have to suffer from what I suffered from. So the truth is, no pill at all. Thank you very much.